Awesome. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Tech Audio Chat. Da 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 da. Theme song.
How come I'm top left?
I think it's just the order in which it added stuff. Do you want
Oh,
to be somewhere
I think
else?
I joined before you.
Do you want here? I can do this.
Oh,
Do you feel
well, you
better
don't have
now?
to do that.
I've got other options here. We could do one of these things. Yeah.
Oh,
Where it's like, hey,
nice.
I'm in charge now.
Everyone like
Or we could do something like this, or like this.
Yeah,
We got a lot going on here.
David, I think you're muted or quiet.
I just assumed he was like just mouthing words.
I'm always just mouthing words. How
It was
do I
like the
make
microaggressions.
words, then, if I don't mouth words?
You've got like intense compression on your voice.
Oh, good.
I mean, it's like
It's
like
intense.
yeah, it's like next step radio voice.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what we want, right?
Well, now you're really quiet.
Perfect.
You got to find the sweet spot. All right, we got lots of folks. All five of them. We got Daniel.
a bunch
Daniel,
of LinkedIn comments.
Daniel's excited about 5.8 also. We got Bernard with what's that stupid thing? that fish.
Is the fish?
I think it's like I think it's 3 O's or something.
It must be like
Three
4
O's up?
O's. Or 5 O's. I'm trying to count the O's.
Consecutive O's. Yeah, look, Pilar tried it. Maybe it's capital O's. Oh my god, we got to get that fish.
Until we get it.
We got Jamie and Sisig. That's I'm sticking with it. Yeah, cool. How is everyone? I think this is going to be a little bit more of a casual stream. I think David, you said you might have something that you maybe some bits and bobs or whatever you want to share, but
I've always got bibs and bobs.
Yeah.
Does the mic sound okay now? Sounds all right.
yeah, it sounds. I mean, I don't know.
On the quieter side compared to Dan.
I'm not doing like a live mix here.
Sounds louder. No, I mean I've always got stuff. I've got a couple of UE things I've been playing with recently, and then I've really been outside of UE just doing
Nice.
this application stuff. So I've been working
Yeah, the thing
on
you
that,
shared last time.
Yeah, I've been
Yeah,
working on
that's
that
cool.
a fair bit. I have some good. I think I have some good like UX improvements to that in just sort of taking on board some of the stuff. So I mean, if we get time, I'd love to share
Yeah.
what that's looking like at the moment, just to get some more thoughts on. I haven't really worked out the audio streaming bit of EVMux, but just visually like how it's kind of laid out. I think. I'd just love to get some more feedback.
I think that something that I like to encourage. We haven't really done it a lot. There's a sort of temptation to kind of make a presentation, like here's my pitch deck or whatever. But I think it's cool to share works in progress and to have get that feedback cycle, show people in the chat and get the randos giving you all kinds of feedback.
Yeah,
So,
I feel like,
yeah.
I mean, I'm in this state at the moment of trying to get it, trying to put it on a website and trying to get licensed servers and stuff working, because I've got all these tools that I've been making for years and years and years, and they just sort of sit on my computer or get used on projects and do stuff. So I've been trying to set up on my website and do licenses, and then I tried to connect to a bank place to do business stuff, and then they were like, have you got a privacy policy and terms and conditions? And I was like, oh baby, this is what we live for. So
This is why we got into the business, right?
that's it. When I was a kid, I thought, like, when I grow up, I want to write my own privacy policy. And my parents were like, what about being a scientist? And I was like, yeah, I guess I'll do that as a backup plan.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah,
so
I'm in a similar boat. Oh, sorry, I don't want to cut you off there.
No, that's been my week.
I'm in a similar boat. I'm in the process of spinning up an LLC. as you do when you're freelancing. And right now I'm waiting on the IRS for EIN and asking folks about their accounting software.
It sounds stupid, but like incorporating when you're a freelancer doing your own thing for so many years. Like I mean, I was sole trading for like 10 years before I incorporated, and incorporating was probably the best thing I did. Not because it does anything special. There's no magic in it, except that I just had that extra level of accountability for what, I had to do things by certain dates, and I had to be good with my numbers, and I had to find out that there's a Dun and Bradstreet number that I'm supposed to care about, and all those things. It's like it sounds really silly, but I kind of wish I had incorporated earlier, just because it made me take it more seriously instead of just kind of rocking around and then getting weird tax bills and not knowing why I'm losing money and all the rest of it.
Well, here in the States, it's really beneficial when it comes to taxes, because you can actually write off a lot more things. And especially, I have a CPA that I work with. They're great. They save me a ton of money.
I mean, a good accountant is... I find it really funny because I'm using like the family accountant that we'd used forever, and then when all my business is overseas and tons of different countries, and I brought all the papers to her to help me incorporate, and she was really excited right at the start, and then she's like, what do you mean? Like, what's this? And I'm showing like the Section 50s and like all of these extra documents like that you've got to do when you work in the States. And she's like, I don't know what any of this means. What is all this cover? Like, she's a great accountant, so it hasn't really mattered. But there's all these extra steps where you're just like, regular people don't. There's just some parts of business that you don't really ever think about until you hit a level where you're making enough money to care about it. And then all of a sudden it's really complicated. And then once you fall in step, it's like actually the most complicated thing was the very start of just getting it set up the first time.
Yeah, I freelanced for like 10 years just as a sole proprietor, and it was... But I wasn't making that much money. It was very spotty. So.
Yeah, mine was the same. It was like, because I used to work in film and television, and film and television is probably about as spotty as games, but shorter duration, So you'd do a shoot, and I'd be on set for a couple of days or a week or something, and then maybe you help in the edit, or maybe you help in the mixing. Like I did a lot of film mixing, but that's like 3 or 4 days of a mix for a short film, and you might do a season. So we used to hook up with people to do maybe 10 or 12 short films and mix for, I don't know, a month and a half, 6 weeks to 8 weeks, and then like they're not making another film again. It's they're making another film maybe in a year or something. So it's very spiky. So you'd have these times where you might make a decent amount of money, and then it's just not like games where you're on a project for 6 months and you're working for 6 months. It's much more spiky. So it's hard to spike out the money. It's like these business people at the moment when I'm trying to get this licensing stuff for the plugins and financial stuff, and they're like, well, how many are you going to sell? And I'm like, what the fuck? Anywhere between 0 and 1,000? I don't know.
Yeah. I used to tell my students that went through the game audio program at the school, that you're thinking game audio right now, but you like all of your schooling is a foundation for all different kinds of jobs and work. And just think, open-mindedly about, how, like, what kind of gigs you can say yes to. So the more times you can say yes to something, more chance you're going to stay and maintain work.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you do weird stuff. Like it's, I had a contract not that long ago for doing bushfire detection in Australia to try and work out can you plant microphones to do bushfire detection, and then map it over long, and it's effective. It's better than some satellite footage initially, depending on, because you don't get helicopters flying over bushfires too much. And yeah, it's like I would have never thought that I could be involved in something like that, or like noise pollution for drone pilots and things. Like there's a lot of places to use some of the skills that we have, and I feel like a lot of the time you get very single-minded about like, well, I'm a game audio person, so I do game audio stuff, and you're like, no, there's actually a lot of environmental businesses or industrial manufacturers that would love to have someone on board that could at least understand some of the basic concepts, like ultrasound machines or something. They have to tell people how sound works to start, and we're like already 10 steps ahead to try and learn the next bit of it.
Yeah, I had a really good friend of mine had a sort of side gig where he would do audio cleaning for a Tibetan singing bowl company. And so they would record, because they're pretty expensive, and so they would record the sound and the performances on every single unit, and then he would have to go through and clean them up for the website or whatever.
That's great. I think my funniest job was like a couple of years ago. I was doing some work out of a Seattle company called Gravitr, Gravitr. I think. I don't know if they're still around or not, but the guy was super friendly, and we were starting out doing like audio imaging for brands. So you do the Audible logo pops up and you make some sound or something. And he was like, oh, so can we do like podcast editing or something? I was like, yeah, we could do some podcast editing. And so he had a couple of clients, and at one point I had 2 clients to do podcasts for. And one was this pot dealership. There's like I don't know what they call it in the States, but in Australia, pot is illegal. It's not a permitted drug, so you can't go to a dispensary and buy it, right? So I used to joke that I was like making money from illegal drugs, and I was editing this podcast where the guys are talking about like, I don't know, starting a dispensary or something. And then the other podcast was a podcast for the UN to talk about like satellites and space junk and all the legislature that was going into the thing. And so I'm like jumping off this podcast where the guys are talking about how much pot they're selling, jumping onto the one for the UN. And it's like, this is weird. This is a weird place to be.
Was it called the podcast or something? Like, did they have like a
that would have been
funding
good.
name?
No, it was something. It was something about like, it was very like business minded, because it seems like it's a large. There's this. I don't know what the business's type is called, but it's like when you don't grow it, but it's like a Uber for pot or something. I don't know. It's like to deliver it around. I don't know. It's all really weird, but I just liked making the joke that I was making money from illegal drugs. That was my favorite bit.
It's called a mule.
Yeah, there you go. So, Uber for mules.
Wow, that's really funny. Yeah, the juxtaposition. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities out there. You at home, there's opportunities out there with your skill set.
Contact
your local
and say, could I do some sound for you?
Honestly, if you just walked into a dispensary and proposed a podcast, they'd probably be down. So.
Yeah, that's true. You imagine that there's some in the time where we were still on tape. Imagine the idea of like how much the manufacturers for magnetic tape would have just been so excited when you said that a pot person was going to do a podcast, because you just you're gonna sell reams and reams and reams of tape. They're gonna be talking for hours,
It's just gonna run off the reel.
I did a live event for the groundbreaking of a Mercedes EV plant one time, and I had never done live audio before. But my buddy, who knew whoever was like planning the event, was like, "Oh, I know an audio guy." And they called me. I was like, yeah, I could totally do that. And I had to like call a bunch of friends and then like borrow a bunch of gear. And I think they paid me like $3,000 for a 30-minute thing for a couple people that flew over from Germany to come up and speak. And like in the middle of this just like half-built mega facility. Like we were standing in red clay. Yeah, that was such a weird and stressful day, but it worked out.
Nice.
And then I just brought all the gear back to all my buddies and like, thanks for letting me borrow that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, if you live in an area that has like gear rentals, you can do all kinds of like 1-day gigs, 2-day gigs. It's one of the things I miss about living in LA is like you could like rent almost any piece of audio equipment there on a day rate.
And it's good too, because I mean, audio, like talking again about how transferable the skills are. It's not easy to look at a PA system and get it to make sound. You know, it's not an intuitive skill. Like my wife plays a lot of gigs, and we were playing a jazz festival, or she was playing a jazz festival. I was fangirling in the background, but when we got to one of the auditorium setups, there was this big complicated mixer and like not a sound person in sight, and poor guitarist was there like, what do I plug into? What do I do? And I was like, I'll get you going, and ran up and got him going, and did a really quick mix on the fly, and we keep playing. And it's like, it's a really nice skill at house parties or something to be able to fix when things are redlining, and a good person to be around. I remember being in Nepal like 10 years ago, and the band was having trouble at some tapas bar, and I was like, I can actually help you, and ran up and helped. And I mean, you don't want to be the sound guy that's like trying to help when people don't need help, but when people do need help,
sometimes you don't think that there's any hope.
Yep.
Like I was at a comedy, like a multimedia comedy presentation in Chicago, where it was like some stage and it was interactive video and stuff like this, and the media part was really loud, and I was like, this is like I can't, like this is actually hurting my ears, and I looked back at the sound, like toward this where the house sound would be done, and the sound person was like holding headphones like a DJ, and I was like, this person, they probably can't even hear that it's loud. So I just actually went and got some earplugs and came back. So yeah, sometimes you gotta pick your battles.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I had a situation when we were working at the Yerba Buena Theater for GDC, and we were trying to track down. We were having really weird mix issues, and at the time, this was back in 2019. At the time, this was for the Project Chaos live Chaos demonstration where they were showing off the new physics engine, and the theater had all sorts of weird quirks to it. First of all, it was like some old speaker system, but they'd also like they extended the proscenium, so they removed the like lower center speakers, so the center channel was reduced for people sitting in the so-called sweet spot, where all the exec reviews were happening. So like dialogue, which was coming through the center, could be heard at on the balcony, but like the lower seats didn't hear it. And at the time, the whole mix was done with sound classes, which was a mess. And the cook time for the project was like 6 hours. So every time we get notes, we'd have to go down to the green room and then implement changes on like a computer. Like we couldn't hear, the changes. Yeah. And then wait till the cook, and then 6 hours later, check it again. And we just sort of did this for like 2 days straight. And one of the weird things was like, we kept having these weird, like, it was like whack-a-mole, on the mix. And we find out that during this entire process, the house mixer is also making adjustments.
Oh, no.
We had no idea.
That's
And there wasn't anything we could do about it except to ask them to stop, because it's union. It's San Francisco, baby. So, yeah, that was stressful. That was stressful.
yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. By the way, that gig is part of my impetus to put in a subharmonizer into the engine, because they were like complaining that there wasn't enough bass frequency, and there was only so much that I could do on the mix was fine in my room, but there was only so much that I could do with sound classes and so what they did, I didn't ask them to do this. They didn't tell me they were going to do this. They brought in 4 massive subs, and they put them equidistant in the orchestra seat. And I was like, that was the day of the keynote, and I was like, I honestly don't know what's going to happen, or even if it And I told Jeff Ferris, who was operating the computer, which was apparently right in front of 2 subs stacked. They were probably I don't know, 28 inches or something like that. They were huge, and they were stacked up. And I was like, Jeff, you shouldn't stand too close to those. You should probably wear earplugs. And he's like, I'll be fine. And I was like, okay. Yeah, that was wild. Anyway, that was also why audio modulation was made.
I remember the Megalites demo when we were working on that was similar, where we everything was pretty chill, and then when it got to the stage, it was just like being up for hours and hours because you were waiting for the cook time, and it was like, yeah, you gotta, but we weren't even there, so it was like we would get the feedback from the producer that was sitting in the seat saying like, oh, I think this bit's too loud, and we're like, okay, and then doing some edits, and then being like, right, how does it sound now? And they're like, that's worse. And they're like, oh no, okay, try and fix this other thing. But I do miss. There's something that's really kind of fun when you have those high intensity, I've got to get everything done and I've got to make these really informed decisions and do it correctly. But as long as it's for a short time, I don't mind doing that for a day or so. There's definitely something really fun about being on the ground. It kind of reminds me of the importance of a moment on a film set that you don't get so much in games, because you always have a chance to sort of export it and fix up and patch things, and getting it right at one point is a nice feeling when you're doing a live concert, or if you do installation work, same kind of thing. We had this project where there was a lot of dancers, and I was doing live electronics for it, so we'd build these sensors that went on the dancers so that they could control a max MSP patch and generate things, and you'd sort of get it tweaked and hope that you'd kind of got it right, and then they'd do a different move in a dance thing that they hadn't done before, and you were like, ooh, how's this going to react? Now I really don't know. Now we're doing composition, baby. This is what we live for. And sometimes it'd do something really impressive, or sometimes the electronics would drop out because I wasn't great at doing them. So they would something really cool would happen. I remember one night a bunch of the electronics dropped out, and then it dropped out during a solo, so it was really, really cool. And then it came back in again, and I was like, whew, all right, I don't know what happened there, but it was one of those funny moments where because everything was driven by the dancers, people didn't know that we'd done anything, because they were like, oh, the sync was amazing. The sync was just perfect. How did they learn all those moves? I'm like, they didn't. It's okay.
Yeah, it can be a lot of fun. I think it depends on what's riding on the outcome of the experience.
Yeah. Yeah, when it's your job, less fun.
Yeah, it's a little bit less fun. Those live events, I've been a part of a bunch of those live events, and I attribute most of my white hairs to them.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's true, but that's what I blame it on. So Yeah, it's tough. Anyway, so yeah, keep those. Yeah, be open minded about what you can do at home. You too can hack your way through live sound.
Perfect
Segue to how about that Unreal? 5.8 is the last for me. It's the last time I've contributed to the engine, and I have feelings about that. It's really interesting, in certain ways. It's something like Aaron was mentioning before, I think, when he was on earlier, was like there is a kind of trap in the like associating your identity with this product that you've been working on for so long. I'm still trying to get over saying we when I refer to Epic. It's just, one of those things. But yeah, I thought it could be interesting to check out. Since the preview came out this week, we could kind of take a look at some stuff in there and. Oh.
Yeah, I love it. I think a previews are really interesting. For those of you that are in the chat that don't know what a preview is, or don't know what 5.8 is, there's a version of Epic there's a version of Unreal Engine that comes out whenever they have enough ideas to put it into a new version, and they are happy with the previous things that are in the previous versions, or they're trying to say like, hey, we've done some more work on some stability or something like that. We release a new version, which is like a minor version. So if you're looking at Unreal 4 or Unreal 5, that'd be a major version. Unreal 5.6 to 5.7 would be a minor version. And sometimes the minor versions have some really, really big features in them. Like people, they're not always like as very small things. Sometimes it's entire new features, usually entire new plugins, and lots of bug fixes and improvements as well. So when these versions get released, there's a preview version that goes out to people that want to build it for themselves to like get ahead of the curve, or try maybe evaluate some features before they make big shifts, because it's worth saying that you don't always have to update Unreal. You don't always have to take new versions. You don't always have to take new features. It's very dependent on your project, and I want to also stress that you should talk to engineering leads and have them evaluate new versions before you just blindly update, because blindly updating can cost you a lot of time, even though there's some features that are cool. And you can always do things like grabbing the preview version and merging versions across to your own project, or grabbing the finished version and merging across to your own project. Unreal doesn't have to be a giant monolithic structure. The part of being open sourced or closed open source is that you can take parts of the feature set and not take other parts, though you might need to do some more manual things. So just a bit of a disclaimer there. It's always really good to look at new versions though, because people have really, really cool ideas, and sometimes you get things that you've been building. Like I can count on many, many fingers and toes and hands of friends how many times I've built something that I spent 2 or 3 months building, and then it comes out in the next version of Unreal because people have already been thinking about it. So it's worth keeping abreast of new versions of Unreal so that you can be informed and make sure that you're solving problems that are worth solving and not problems that are solved or supported as being solved.
Yeah, something that maybe isn't obvious if you're only looking at those major launch moments, when there's like a launcher version, a new launcher version of the Unreal Engine, is that in actuality it's more like a continuous stream of updates. They're just constantly being fed into Unreal, and then they just sort of capture a moment and then stabilize it and release that. And there's some consideration about like sometimes you're working on a feature that takes longer than say 6 months to work on, right? Which might be the cycle. So if it takes longer than whatever the cycle is, then they'll sometimes hold it in like a space that doesn't get released until it's at a point in which they can like confidently say, okay, yeah, well, let's put this out there and make it available. And you'll see, features come out in sort of early access or experimental states because they're very early days. But there is a kind of intention to communicate, hey, this is a feature that we're interested in developing, at least as far as is presented here, and making that available to licensees can be like, one of the major goals. So I think that you'll like some of the stuff I want to make sure that we see is actually very UE6 focused. You'll see like one of the big things that maybe that is not audio related, maybe you saw is terrain meshes. That is way early days, and they're going to replace landscapes. And it's, and so it's that, but like the you can sort of look at it, the state that it is right now and go, yeah, it's not going to be ready like this year, but it's clearly the intention is to replace landscapes. And so in the same way that, we're going to take a look at an audio thing that's super early days and its intention is like, this is where, or at least where we were thinking things from my perspective when I left the organization. What happens after I left the organization is unknown to me. We'll have to rely completely on Eric's testimony if he's willing to give it.
We'll see.
No promises. I saw Robert, I saw your question. I think it's worth just as like a quick note, and this is actually something that's worth keeping in mind in general when you look at postmortems for games. I should put it up. I'll just put it up. This we could go into depth.
It's a big question.
And we could chat with we could chat with the Embark people too. Like we could, that'd be really awesome. But something that to keep in mind is like that, like kind of like what David said. It's not always prudent to update your version of Unreal, and at some point in the production process, you have to lock it down and say, okay, we're not going to do any more updates. We're gonna sail this thing. and so for Metasounds, in the way that Epic handles features, at least for the last 6 or 7 years, features had to ship on Fortnite in order to be considered version 1 of themselves. And so what you'll find is that on Metasounds, the big Metasound ship timeline for Fortnite was the Big Bang event that happened at the end of 2023. And that's when they released Lego Odyssey and like Fortnite Festival and Rocket Racing. All of these experiences shipped with heavy use of Metasounds. And there was a huge amount of optimization that the engine team devoted to ensuring those things shipped and shipped well. And so what you'll find is that the next iteration, the next version of Unreal after that has all those optimizations in. And so as I understand it, maybe maybe I'm mistaken, but I believe Arc Raiders shipped before that. Their version is like before that. It's like 5.2 or 5.3 or something like that. So 5.4 is the one that has a bunch of those optimizations. 5.5 even more so. So that's something to keep in mind is when you're looking at projects that have been in production for 6 years. At some point they just sort of cut it off and said, we're not going to update anymore. And even if there are new fixes, maybe they'll do the backport, kind of like David said you can sort of like look at the bits of code in isolation and sort of bring them back over to your project. But that's a lot of work, and there's still some danger in that. So that's something to keep in mind.
We can.
I found it crazy. There's a Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is a brand new game that has 3 separate parts, is still on UE4, and which is crazy because it's a gorgeous looking game. And you sit there, we associate really gorgeous looking games with Unreal. It's one of the visual sort of pillars of using Unreal, is that you want something that's very realistic lighting and beautiful textures and all the rest of it. And it's using UE4 because they just backport stuff that they want to use. And when it comes to performance parity, there kind of can't be a thing like performance parity with meta sounds and sound cues because they have very different feature sets. Playing a single sound, there's probably performance parity conversations that you could have with, if I played a single sound in sound cued and played a single sound in meta sound and played a single sound as a sound wave, what are the performance costs? They'll be a little bit different because the rendering graph of meta sounds has a feature set that does more than do just that. But then there's also things like, would a big sprawling sound cue be the same as a big sprawling sound cue in meta sounds? Probably not at a very low level, because there is functionality that can do other things. It's definitely something that Embark has been very vocal about, but I think like you mentioned, every project, something that doesn't make sense for one project could be the whole linchpin of another project. It's really difficult to say like whether or not it works. And even in audio where you think, but it's just playing a sound cue, or it's just playing meta sound, and then you look at their Wwise session or their Fmod session or the way that they make hierarchies in Unreal, all these design decisions really have quite big flow-on effects, even if you think you're using the tool exactly the way that you would expect.
And sound cues and meta sounds are kind of apples and oranges, if you can believe it, in terms of performance evaluation, because where the work happens is different. It's completely different. Sound cues are evaluated on a parallel thread to the game thread called the audio thread. And meta sounds are compiled on the game thread or on a task off the game thread, and then they're rendered on the audio render thread. So you have these, like, they're actually like in completely different spaces in terms of where the performance happens, or where the work itself happens. And so that itself could affect sort of performance strategizing.
And Dan, you touched on, you said the magic word, which is compile. Like the meta sound has a compile cost that a sound cue doesn't have. And that's probably the main thing that's like different in terms of like parity. Like if you have a sound cue that's just playing like a random sound from a selector node, and then you replicate that functionality in a meta sound, you're still only playing like one wave file, right? But it's you incur that overhead cost of having to compile the meta sound, and there's ways to mitigate that using like the meta sound operator cache. But we've already done like a whole episode on this, so I don't want to like derail it. But
you should check out the entire catalog. Just watch it all. Just watch all the Tech Audio, 30, I guess it's 70 hours. Oh my god. Okay. So let me. I guess I'll share.
There's definitely 2 videos you want to watch. You want to watch one which is going through how to performance profile, because not everybody is actually profiling the work. You're just assuming that it works differently. And then the other one, there is a Metasound operator cache, which is a way to mitigate that cost. But profile first. Work out if it's actually an issue, because something not having parity or having parity kind of doesn't matter if you're not having an issue there. So for the most part, like find out what your problem points are and then work out, is it actually a meta sound problem? Because most of the time I would say it's usually like how you're playing the sound is more of the problem than how the meta sound works. And then there's meta sound stuff inside, which, making sure that you're actually making a thing that isn't 15 filters and reverbs inside a meta sound and then saying how come it's not performant or something like that.
The other big one that people will get caught out on is having deeply nested subgraphs.
Yes.
So that it kind of like the design of meta sounds kind of encourages you to create like these nested structures, but they actually do kind of hurt your performance. So I on our team, like we always try to limit the number of subgraphs to like one layer of depth. And so don't put any subgraphs in your graph that already have subgraphs, essentially. So it's not too bad once you get used to, once you've designed your set of subgraphs to work like that. But it is kind of a annoying thing, like if you've already built up a library of like nested subgraphs, to then have to go and like remove some of that. But it helps.
Well, and you kind of pick your battles. Like there are, like you can have a hero sound that is kind of crazy. If you're budgeting for it, and then everything else can kind of be optimized extra.
It's just when your footstep sound is crazy.
That's when it's the sound that like there's got like 12 simultaneous variations happening, then that's
Rule of cool.
All right. Y'all don't hear slap back, right? I'm sharing the audio correctly. I just want to make sure. You don't hear yourselves. Yeah, good. Okay. So I don't have like a list, and I could forget stuff. Eric can help me remember stuff.
I don't know if I'll be much help there, but there's a lot of new stuff.
Yeah, like right now, if you look, I think it's just a forum post for the preview, like announcement or whatever. But they'll do like a proper page, and that'll have all of the changes listed. And so it's always good to sort of double check.
I'll bring up the. I'll find like a list in the background, and if there's anything that we aren't covering once we're going through it, I'll let you know.
I like that. It's multitasking.
Where do you want to begin?
I had this map already set up, so I figured I wanted to show the audio insight. I think that's the thing that's kind of coolest, flashiest at least. There are some big updates for audio insights. We could obviously spend a lot of time on audio insights, but there's like one thing I really want to point to because it's a big, like, finishing move on audio insights.
It's some really cool stuff. Audio insights has gotten an enormous update. This is super duper cool, I think.
And Swedish Tech was heavily involved in implementing these changes. So David's probably already knows what I'm about to do here.
Can you arrange our photos like on the side or on the bottom or something? I like to have my face on the
stream. Yes, I can. I mean, so the problem with this mode is it's only the first one that gets highlighted, which is dumb. And I can't switch it, but I could do one of my presets over here. Let me try this.
There we go.
Let me do. Hold on a second. Hold on. I got to swap out this layer.
Get this light on my face.
Where is this? I'm gonna unlock that, and then I'll remove that, and then I will add a screen share.
And every time I look at the roadmap, it's like, holy shit, look at all the new stuff they gave me. There's so much stuff again.
How's this? Does it look okay?
Yeah, now we're not disembodied voices.
Nice. Okay, so the reason this was the old PCG demo. What's nice is I updated it to 5.8 without any problems. It seems to work, so
nice.
That's always like the risk. You sort of cross your fingers updating the project. You're like, I hope it doesn't break anything. But the reason I brought this one up is because I wanted something with like a lot of sound sources. So, do we hear ambient sound? Cool. So you can see I've got all these soundscape stuff happening. I'm gonna hit F8 to sort of depossess the pawn. I'm going to go to Tools and Audio Insights. And, I'm already there. So Audio Insights, let me just sort of focus on the event log over here. You can see the events. It's just like tons of sounds playing and stopping, blah, 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 blah. I think I don't remember if there was. I think this is the same. I think everything here is basically the same. There's been an update up here. You can see this is really awesome. You can see the timeline up here. This is our data cache for the data that we're capturing, and this stuff has been updated to sort of describe, like, basically express and allow you to interact with controlling the record, like like when you're capturing the stream of trace data, and when you're not. And you can, we had it before where we were pausing the playback. And what I want to sort of direct is over here, the signal flow. And this was, I think this was Steve and Pete, I think, like, did most of the work on this. But I do want to sort of shout out that I drew the picture of what this should look like.
Well, that's a big
for what it's worth.
This thing. So for people that don't know what Audio Insights is in general, this is like a deeper way to look at your project and what's happening in the audio side. Yeah. And the flow that Dan is showing off is this version called the Signal Flow, which is a brand new feature breaks down how the rendering is occurring, or what the flow is looking like for when a sound plays, what submixes to go through, and things like that, which sounds very simple when you first think about it, until you really think about how many ways that you can route audio around in Unreal, and then it completely explodes when you think about how to express that information.
Yeah. So what we have here is on the left, you have owning objects, you have active sources, you have active buses, and active submixes. And it's ordered such to kind of express the general render flow. When in the audio renderer, in the Audio Mixer's audio renderer, the rendering of things, of sound in Unreal renders in these three stages. It renders all the sources, the source output. It renders all the buses, and then it renders all the submixes. And this makes sense because the submixes are dependent on the buses and the sources, and the buses are dependent on the sources and other buses. And so that's sort of the three-stage render. For better or worse, that's what happens in a single callback. And you can actually, if we start here at the main submix, there's like another callback here, which is the interaction between Unreal and the hardware layer. And the hardware layer will either request some samples, or Unreal will push some samples. It depends on the platform. And then what happens is the main output submix then asks all of its children for its sound, their sound, and it asks all of the sources and source buses that are dependent on it for their sound, and so on and so forth. And it sort of recursively goes up the render tree until it's just sources, and then all that gets mixed back down and gets sent out to the hardware. And so it's really important. Like, conceptually, you can kind of abstract that, but if you're trying to track down why you're hearing something, you don't have like a thing that you can hold on to sort of try to track that information. And in your DAW, at the very least, you have meters along the way. But even in the DAW, it's very difficult. Like, the DAW is expressed in this same fashion. But you just have this flat like look of meters or tracks, and so this is actually expressing the render from a sound to all the way down out to the hardware, and all of the stuff that shows up on the left, that's all the active sound renderer objects, and you can select any of them. And it will isolate them and their pathway, all the stuff that feeds into them and what they feed out to. So I should probably pause this.
It's cool, but you know what's really scary is I know that when I start using this on our projects, because we're not currently on 5.8 because it's not out, but when it comes out and we take the update, I'm so scared to look at what is actually happening, because I'm pretty sure there will be some secrets that get revealed where there's actually this little bus over here that was doing something to a whole bunch of things that I just didn't catch, because there's a lot of ways to set information on sounds. You know, if you're uniform with it, it's easier. But when you're on a project for a longer time, uniformity is not a guarantee.
Yeah. So here I'll grab this mountain air loop because it's a bed and it's gonna be consistent. You can kind of see that some of these are sort of ephemeral, and you can pause it to select them. But I just want to select something that's running right now. And you can see what object owns it. Unfortunately, this is all using Soundscape, so there's no owner. And, you know, tough cookies, I can't change Soundscape anymore, so that's something I'll complain to Epic about. But what's cool is from here, we can solo the sound that's selected, or we could mute it, which is pretty wild.
So good.
And
you don't have to type it. You don't have to type the full name in a console command to mute it anymore.
Yeah. And then we can go and look and see, okay, we see that it's going to main submix, but it's also routing to this reverb submix as well. And so this is like, this, you know, here's your sends. And you can actually visualize the sends. Now, I advocated for a vertical expression of this signal flow, and a bunch of other people advocated for the more Wisian horizontal view, but I think that I still have the best idea. And Pete was generous enough to make sure, I think it was Pete, generous enough to make sure that it was toggleable. But the reason I advocated for a vertical flow is the names are horizontal, and you can actually stack closer. You see more information if the names are horizontal and they sort of stack vertically than if you were to sort of chain them up. But there's quite a bit of space here anyway. But yeah, so you can select, and then you can sort of, like I said, you can just start walking down the chain. Okay, you know, what's coming into this reverb? What's setting to this reverb? Oh, a whole bunch of stuff, you know. Crickets, exactly. Or we could click up to this, you know, what does this owner also own? What other sounds does this owner also own? Yeah, so here you can see this owner. When it gets frenetic like this, you can just pause it and then just start navigating around. And then you can sort of like grab one and go, okay, what is this cricket doing? So yeah, this is very exciting, and it's just another way to help diagnose your, you know, signal flow. So yeah, there's, oh yeah, that's right. You can look at the node details too. That I forgot about that. Yeah, so you can look. This is pretty sick. So you can look at the node details. You can see the volume for all of its sends, which is kind of insane. And you can. I think, yeah, here you can add a filter. So you'd be like, what is this sound's priority? You know, why am I hearing this sound? What is its distance? You know, so you can just sort of add and sort of filter for different active sound parameters. And so, yeah, this is a really powerful feature. Definitely worth just checking out preview just so you can play around with it. Am I missing something critical? There's little quality of life stuff going on here, like
pause on select.
Pause on select. That was a big one folks wanted, because, you know, if your workflow is, you know, like this is kind of crazy, and so you know, then you can just sort of like, oh, pause it. You can just grab it and like, okay, pause it, and yeah, and I think it just resumes. Does it resume when it? No, I think you just got to play it again. I think that was also why we wanted this sort of transport, these transport controls up here. Anyway,
I saw there was also a relative render cost option in there, which is, since we were talking about performance.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, so that was under the details.
Yep.
Or no, yeah, okay. It was under details. Yes.
No details, or the filters, right?
Let's see. So, oh yeah, there it is. Awesome. Yeah. So relative render cost. These are all sound waves. I should have picked a meta sound. Let's do that guy. So here's a meta sound. That's a submix. Hold on a second. Pause on select. Meta sound. There we go. Well, it's the meta sound is it's one, but relative render cost is we've looked at it before, but it's basically a way for meta sounds to abstract the number of voices this meta sound is worth or costs, relative to a single sound rendering. Relative render cost is potentially very powerful, but it requires adherence to a policy, because when you make a meta sound node that generates sound, you need to sort of opt it into this metadata that contributes to the relative render cost. And right now, I think it's just wave players that are being measured right now. But so that's something that needs sort of massaging and improving. But yeah,
this will help you isolate those meta sounds that you have like 10 wave players running in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so if you see 10 on one of these, that's trouble.
Is it?
Only if it's not your hero sound.
Yeah, what if it's really cool?
Honestly,
if it's really cool, it's really cool. Fine. It's just one of those ones where I think when you're looking at Audio Insights exists to be a breadcrumb tracker. It's there to say, is the problem with, like, sometimes I use Audio Insights because I really just cared about the distance. I thought a sound was playing, the attenuation's bugged, and the distance is 0, but I thought the distance should be 2,000. And using these different views just helps you find that. Like, I could find that in the sounds thing. I could find it in the signal flow. Like, it really just depends what problem you're trying to solve. But capturing a recording and playing it back and looking for these sounds in different ways is super useful. And signal flow is actually something that we are looking forward to. I haven't even played around with this that much yet, because it's just a really new feature as of 5.8. So the signal flow is going to solve a pretty big problem for us, and I think with meta sounds being introduced, and Unreal's render pathways being so flexible, there has always been this conversation of like, but how do I mix a game in Unreal? And how does it actually work? What does the structure look like? And these tools are really important to show what that structure does look like, because, like I said, we've got submixes at the moment where maybe there's like parallel compression happening, or maybe there's like filtered effects, and checking that my filtered effects are passing through properly becomes more and more difficult the more sounds that you add. Like, these are easy when there's 10 sounds in your game and you're doing a test level and you're showing, see, look how easy it looks. When you actually have a detailed render pipeline where you have it going through 4 or 5 submixes, and there's a submix presets on the side, this tool is, I don't think there's any way to do it without a tool like this, because how you're telling me you can hear a footstep that's going to the wrong reverb when there's like 2 sounds playing, like it's not possible,
and also over here, a lot of work has been put into this loudness metering. So you should also check that out. These are, I believe we can set a bunch of thresholds and ranges. So here we go. Range, offset, target, true peak limit. So you can really tune your loudness metering to whatever your project specs are, and get something pretty meaningful out of this. The RMS meter, that was based off of VU timing, which is like a very predominant meter timing in like linear audio. But so many of us use loudness these days for our mixing process. So you have integrated range and true peak, and this short-term momentary. So you kind of get all of your different time, captures, your windows. I think people, as long as they know how to load this up and they've got the basics on how to like sort of look around, I think this can be a huge win for your project. Yeah. And more data. I think more data is capturable now in standalone. I don't remember exactly where the line is, but I think there's more. There's like more trace data that is optinable.
Yeah, there's some custom trace data. I think nowadays when you do your recordings and read them back, there's more insights, or there's a custom trace thing where you can set specific
channel
markers. Yeah, so you can kind of say like how much is this happening, which is again just part of that profiling. We can see that big stream of events happening on the left hand screen.
Yeah, there's
what's happening,
Yeah, there is there was before but there is an event API where you can just sort of create arbitrary calls into this with little tags. So you can track your own custom audio blueprints or whatever, and have that log as well.
I like that active buses. What happens when you click the active bus 65285? Nothing. All right. It's doing something. I wonder what that's doing.
That's a good question. This, I assume, is a procedurally generated bus. But this is, so this would be all your buses. But I think source buses, let's try. We'll just add a source bus. Let's do a quick.
Just one of the things that are...
Oh yeah.
Can we go to a beat or something?
I should say the whole
like a soft gust instead of crickets. Just something easily identifiable.
The whole layout of the menu here has been updated. By the way, just so this is not just audio, but every category here has seen some massaging. This was not led, so this wasn't led by audio. It was led by the editor team, and I had some input, but I think the idea was to organize things by function as much as possible, or by brand, if that made more sense. And then we have a sort of legacy deposit space. But most of this was driven by Seth. I think Seth was sort of took point on a lot of this stuff.
Can you go to the sources one as well, just to see what's up? I should be in legacy now.
I agree.
That advanced that reorganization actually is really nice, because I do find that the terminology that's used when you have this breadth of offering, it does get pretty convoluted when you think what's a control bus versus a source effect preset versus a meta sound patch. They're all similar sounding terminology, so just breaking them up into these categories, that's cool.
And a little bit of a reorg. For example, source and submix effects were under the mix submenu. But here we have them under DSP effects and synthesis, along with wavetable banks. So it's a little bit also of a just sort of shuffling of how we're, thinking about these and their function and the role that they play in the production. Harmonics still gonna harmonics though.
Scroll down.
Yeah, it's very. This is also in a. all this stuff is encapsulated in a plugin, so it kind of makes sense. And I checked out for example, here's routing. You can see soundscape. I didn't do anything to the soundscape data. Like it just sort of interpreted it as this sort of sub menu under advanced. So this is a big shift. Right. Right. Source bus. Yeah. I was just going to drop it in and just see what happens. I wasn't going to do anything crazy. I just wanted to see it show up there. Yeah, there it is. And then you can see it's routing. So it's the bus. Oh, that's great. So it shows you because the source bus is like a source that wraps an audio bus. And so here we have the audio bus that is basically instantiated when the source bus is activated. And so we see it represented as both a bus and a source. And you get this nice backtrack to sort of express that it's the data is coming from here. So that's very interesting. Yeah, cool. All right. I'm sure everyone's tired of those crickets. I captured those crickets, by the way, in Monrovia.
Okay. How about some birds or frogs?
There were birds in there. I didn't hear birds.
Or bees or...
Well, I think what I was just gonna switch project here. Because
this guy.
We're gonna look at some meta sounds, and there were some things. There were some cool things. I wanted to give a shout out to Helen, because there was kind of like some work that was being done, like quality of life improvement work that was being done kind of late last year, and early this year. And so I want to shout out to Helen for some cool stuff. For example, check this out. What? You can just drop it in there.
Wow.
And if I do a wave player, boop, look at that. It creates an input and it creates a wave player. Or let me backtrack here. We have a shift drop and an alt drop, and the shift drop will make a literal. So if I do a wave player, there it is. That's the sound. Or if I do an alt drop, boop, it just makes the input, and then I do whatever I want with it.
Can it do an array if you drop multiple?
Can you do an array?
What a wonderful.
Everyone's gonna ask, so I think
yes. Yeah. So if I do a wave player, wave. Oh wait, wave player doesn't take an array. If I do a random get, there you go.
Wow.
So good.
I've not gotten used to using this yet.
You're right. And likewise, if you just do an alt drop, then you just get the wave player or the array. Which
I do wish there was a node that just did the wave player with the random in one, so that I don't have to make it every single time.
But
that's a slip. That's what we call a slippery slope.
That's what people do with meta sounds. They play a random sound from an array.
Yeah.
You know, it's like everyone's like, yeah, but you want the flexibility. It's like I don't want the flexibility.
The wave player is a great example of feature creep. Like it's like, everyone always has more asks for the wave player. And really what we need to normalize is people not having to place wave players.
Yeah.
People just building a template and then using those.
You can also make your own wave player, or like we'll talk later about templates, I think, but that's not really a compositional tool so much as it is more like a preset. But
yeah, actually, Eric, are you able to talk about templates?
Yes, I can't share my screen. I don't have 5.8, but
oh, that's right. Yeah.
One thing that you've been showing though, the wave player node looks a bit different now.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if you can tell us why.
What's
that about?
Yeah, what is this? Look at this. You'll see meta sounds have a new look, and that is all Eric's fault. Eric did that work.
No, it was Aaron's fault. He's the one who requested the feature, and then I took the Jira. So.
Well, they got rid of him, so it's not your fault.
Right. That's right.
So now you can customize the color and icon that appears in the header of native node. So you can't change like on like a patch or a preset, but those will have like the respective colors if you put one of those on there. Do you have any referenceable subgraphs?
I mean, I could make one.
You had a couple in there.
They ship some.
Undergraphs.
Yeah. There's some harmonics ones, and there's these.
Does it play random one shot?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. So we. Oh, why did I do the same one? Oh no, this is one's loop, one's one shot. So these are things that we have talked about. I remember a long time talking about it. Just like, we just need to ship a little library of utility nodes that people can use. But you made these, right, Eric?
I don't remember if those are specifically mine, but I am trying to bring people over to using like pitch or base and spread for like defining ranges, because it gives you 2 degrees of orthogonality.
What do we got here from? Okay, yeah, they got like a dark green.
It's
like shades of green right now.
The node configuration, is that part of this?
No, so this is pure metadata that you can put on like a custom metasound node. So if you have like your own metasound nodes that you want them to stand out on your graph, so like all of them have like a red top bar color and have like your logo as the icon in the corner.
Yeah.
You can like brand
custom branding.
Yeah. And so I don't think we got around to doing a pass on any of the native nodes. So everything is just kind of that olive green color. But yeah, I think once we do like a full pass on like updating nodes for node config and like cat types and stuff, we'll probably do a pass on the colors too and make it color coordinate some things.
There have been I think Cat has had a lot of stability and update. Like I think Jimmy had done a lot of work on Cat for 5.8. I think it's still under experimental. But
have we done a walkthrough of how to do Cat? I can't remember.
Yeah. But there is something brand spanking new, and that is this has been a long-standing ask, and that's the polymorphic node. So this was something that we were waiting on.
There's a spelling mistake in the title.
This is Phil's node, so we blame Phil if there's any spelling errors. But yeah, this is something that's been like, for example, we've had config, like here, configurable node. This was sort of Phil's. Whoops. Anyway, this is Phil's demo for a configurable node, and then I think it was Helen that made this widget configurable node, which is kind of cool, where you have like a widget. This was an Aaron ask, and I think Helen did it.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, this one's pretty cool. And so these are basically code examples that ship with the experimental Metasound plugin that you could sort of examine and see how they're done. But what's cool is Phil shipped a polymorphic example. What did he call it? Yeah, here. No, not this one. This is the one I just grabbed. Oh yeah, there is a recently used list, which is kind of cool. I think this was David Troller, right?
Yeah.
And so now you have like a list of recently used Metasound nodes that you were sort of grabbing. So if you need to, you can kind of like, I don't know, whatever you have that like top list, you can kind of keep going to it.
And there's favorites in there too. You can favorite things now.
Hold on. Let me just see what Phil called this thing.
There's a granulator.
Yeah.
There's a sub interface.
Hold on.
There's so many things.
Oh, here it is. This is Phil's example node. Okay, he called it weighted sum. So what's cool about the polymorphic node is the data type is configurable. So in the past, if we look at my fade node, so this is the fade node that I made, and I let you under configuration select float or audio type, and it swaps out this pin. But it's a hack. It's a hack. So what I'm actually doing is under the hood, if we look at the code, and we have in the past, if we look at the code of the fade node, then I actually have both pins. I have the both data references built into the node, but I'm conditionally spawning the pin effectively, and I have my render block for the fade like the fade function output. The render block actually can work with a buffer of any size. So it could be a buffer that is 480 samples, or it could be a buffer of 1 sample. And so it just treats the float as like a buffer of 1 sample, or the audio as a buffer of audio, like an audio buffer sample. So anyway, so it's a hack. That was the only way that I could figure out to do it, because the write reference is sort of built into the Metasound architecture, and you had to have both of them. And it's not like hugely problematic. It just means that there's like vestigial memory that's being unused. But yeah, so this is a new thing where you can, and here he has bool, integer, and float as available types that you can swap between, which is just sick. And so if you combine cat and node config and polymorphic types. And this also, by the way, this is another thing that was really difficult to do in Metasounds is this sort of struct. So you see how the end
of that sentence is like you invent the Higgs boson.
Like this is like having the Metasound like config express these like sets of data types that are associated with each other. That was also a problem to be solved. So this is something, if you're a Metasound maker, Metasound node maker, this is something to take a look at. I haven't actually dug into the code yet because it's so new. I just sort of like was going through it and was reminded that this was checked in. And so I'm excited to dig into this code. But yeah, so this is something to look out for.
What is this thing actually called?
Polymorphic.
Polymorphism.
What? Yeah. It's a polymorphic data type or something like that. Is
okay.
Yeah. So an example polymorphic morphic. All right, Phil. Experimental spelling, and you can take a look at this as sort of a base example, and then
the node is polymorphic. Yeah,
this has the like implementation to sort of take a look at. But yeah, so there's so much possibility when you combine cat type, the polymorphic data types, and node configuration. You can really create really compelling Metasound nodes that just have a lot of utility for your users. Yeah.
There's another layer that we're going to talk about next, maybe.
Well, I was going. I mean, sure. What do we?
Templates.
Oh yeah. Do you want to skip? Well, so we also have. I did want to try to see if I could implement Aaron's granulator.
Yeah, no. Templates might even be like another night, maybe.
Templates. So I don't have any templates. This is the problem. There weren't any ship templates.
There is. It's hidden. You have to change one line of code.
Oh, yeah. Is that a line of code or is it CVAR?
It's a U property. or it's a meta hidden specifier on the struct for it.
All right. I don't have it compiled. This is a blueprint.
Yeah, no worries. So we can cover it another time. Didn't we already touch on it when it was .config or?
You did a video on .config.
Yeah, that's right.
But we were going to hold off. But for you'll notice at the upper side there's now this template drop down menu, and preset is a template type. But what templates allow you to do is, I could show Rob's builder copy and paste, which is really sick. Let me spin up a.
I think I might hop off a little early.
Yeah.
Sorry, everyone.
Thanks for hanging out.
A little sick right now.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out with us.
See ya.
Sweet. Later, y'all.
Let me see if I can just launch. Okay, thank you. I'm just gonna do a new text file. Maybe it's fine. Okay, dude, chill out. I got Visual Code, VS Code, Visual Studio Code, or whatever. Let me do. Let's see. Should we just do like a? Maybe I'll do the standard. Wave. Oh wait, random wave asset array. Yeah, and then call this FS for brevity. Do I have a wave player? Look at that. It's right in there in my recents. Doop. Okay, so I think this will work. So let me see. Well, maybe this is the test.
What are we to test?
No. Oh. Hold on.
Oh.
Is this
Control-Shift-C?
Controls? Okay, that's it. Okay,
Thank you. It was in there. You can see it too.
Yeah.
Point it out.
Okay, so let me just do this. Yes. Okay, so let me undo, and then I'll just paste it in here so you can sort of see. So here's VS Code, and I'll do this. Hold on a second. Let's see if we can just sort of get everything in the window here. Okay. So Control-Shift-C, and there has been a major update to the builder code API. And it was based off a lot of feedback from Eric, but also a lot of my feedback from building gameplay runtime systems with builder code. And so let me Control-Shift-C. Boop.
Just to be clear, like this isn't update to the builder code itself. This is more like a layer on top of it that interacts with the builder code. So
you can copy metasound graphs and nativize them, the graph fragments, and just by pasting it into. So we can see this sort of builder like expressed here. We have actually where's my, you can tell I don't use VS Code that much. How's the zoom? How do I zoom?
Control plus probably.
Okay, there we go. Thank you. How to zoom? Okay. So here we have the two nodes that I selected, right? Random get, so it's copying the class name and the name, so you get which is awesome, because otherwise, before, what we were doing is we were like getting the debug on, and we were looking at the reflected name of the thing and grabbing that data and then putting into like a bunch of expressions to like find this node or like add this node of this class of this type, blah 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 blah. Now you can just copy it, paste it, and you can see the actual grid location Yeah, I mean, hey, Johnny, why not, right? Sound effects guy, you were playing with templates last night. That's awesome. Yeah, the whole back, wish we could update our project, right? And then the where is the? Oh yeah, here we go. So this is the edge. So here are the two nodes, and then here is the connection. And you can see we have this pairing, the random get node. This is the name that we have, and then it's on next to the wave player play. So I don't know, and then the random get value, which is the input. This is this guy, and wave player, wave asset. Oh wait, there. Sorry, value. That's this edge right here. So two nodes, and the two edges are described, and also you can imagine the convenience of writing in this at this level. Like it's a lot more of just like quick configuration of graph data.
It's declarative, right? So you can say add this, add this, add this, and you can with templates. If you build a template out of this configurator code, you can add Boolean toggles that let certain fragments of the graph be added and certain parts not be added.
Yeah.
You can also set input defaults and like literal defaults on the nodes themselves. Can you wipe the code there and copy the whole graph and paste it?
Sorry, say again.
Copy the whole graph.
Yeah, sure.
There's more like types and stuff.
Yeah. We can do that. We can do like everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Control-Shift-C. I hit the wrong button.
Right-click it. You can see there's the option in the right-click menu for it.
No, I hit the wrong paste button.
Oh, okay.
I hit Control-C for some reason. I don't know why. Because my finger was hovering over it.
Okay, so now you kind of get the interfaces on the document, as well as the inputs and outputs. So.
This is great, yes. The graph inputs, the graph outputs, and then the individual nodes. And it looks like I guess because I guess these are all not nodes. Yeah. So they're the input node, I guess. That's nice. It separates it out. The graph inputs and the graph outputs.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Here's cool. Oh, that's pretty cool. It's got my my actual array of data in there too.
Mm-hmm. Wild.
Anyway, so that is definitely something to check out. It's one of those. It's one of those things where we have sort of Alex still in there. It's one of those things where if you've got an audio programmer or someone with some coding skills on your team, you can create these powerful templates that I'll give you an example. Fortnite has like a gun mega sound, and one of the problems with that is while it is very flexible in its utility for the designers, it's got all of the features, all the bells and whistles of things you might do with a gun, but you've got these vestigial pieces of the graph that are just sitting there unused most of the time. And so, as Eric was sort of pointing out, you can create conditional chunks of graph that only exist because you want things, you want that part of the design to exist. And so it's a way to kind of consolidate and improve the UX of your meta sounds while making them leaner on the back end. And it is sort of one of those things that it is kind of gated through being code implemented. But it's a great compromise between, all the things and the preset sort of approach versus like optimizing the graph and and losing the features. Or doing something wild like you're literally creating your own. Well, it is creating your own builder, but it's sort of codifying that process, or first classing that process. So
yeah, that's cool. It's a lot easier than like looking for the debug node name that's expressed, and then trying to find that it's an edge and then trying to work out which one it is. Like just having the boilerplate is a little bit of an easier way to visualize what's happening, as opposed to I do a lot of Metasound Builder in Blueprint, and only downside with it is that it is very verbose, and the names of edges and input nodes and output nodes is just there's nothing wrong with it. I totally understand it. It's just hard to express the graph. So it does. Just seeing it in code is a nice way to reference it, at least.
Yeah. Well, and this in code, because I did a whole project where I built a very complex runtime system that was completely Metasound Builder driven, and this code, like to get this, all the stuff that's on here, which is 2 nodes and graph inputs and outputs, would be like 4 times as long.
That'd be huge.
It'd be huge because each one of these, this, all this sort of like this, there would be like 3 function calls for each one of those things.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a really great. This is awesome work by Rob, and Eric was deep in the process of working with Rob on this. So thank you both. Thank you both for your service.
It's all Rob.
Yeah, Rob is amazing. He's still working there, and he's brilliant. So, yeah, that one's really exciting. The copy and paste one, by the way, was something that I asked for a lot. I don't know if I was the one who moved the needle on that, but I did ask for it a lot. Because that was something that I always wanted from UMG. I always thought it was like such a missed opportunity with UMG to be like, generate some Slate code for me. Like I want to design in here, and then I want it to be Slate code. Give me the Slate code. And because like all the stuff is different, when you're in Slate, it's like all the UMG parameters and attributes are all like named something else in Slate. And so it just takes forever to like, I want it needs to be called this thing or whatever. And so
pretty steep learning curve.
Yeah, and it's just like, hey, you've got it. Wouldn't it be great if you could just spit this out as the code? And also Slate is painful because you're like, this actually needs to be 0.4, and then you're like compile. Whereas the WYSIWYG, you're like, I could just tweak it right now and then see the result right away. I did also post earlier this week about some interfaces. So there's some new data interfaces that I implemented, and I also fixed a bug that was a day 1 bug where the first value of some of these interfaces were not valid, were invalid. The first on play, the first, like once you played it, it was like the data was stale, and it was waiting a whole callback for an update to that data. So, and I think that was resulting in unreliable input. Not because it wasn't even reliably late, like because the timing between when the data was updated on the audio thread and when the Metasound actually started playing. So that I fixed that because I ran into a bug that that was with the occlusion interface. So now if you have a sound that's using Unreal's regular, attenuation occlusion, and it will give you the state of its occluded nature. Oh yeah, this is another thing. I think was this David or Seth? This color coding of the
that was David.
Was David? Yeah.
Yes. Cool.
So David Taralla added this sort of visual,
like the gutters.
Yeah, this sort of visual spice to help distinguish these parameter groups.
That came from State Tree, actually. It was Patrick Buteau that.
Oh, nice. Oh yeah, State Tree must have like a nice update then. I haven't looked at State Tree in 5.8 yet. Where am I? What am I doing? There's so much stuff in here. This, by the way, has always been kind of a known issue. Is like the attenuation struct is just so massive, the ideal would be to make it very modular and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just check this on, and I'm not going to adjust a filter cutoff or volume. I'm just gonna enable occlusion, and we'll add it to this footstep in my source properties. And oh yeah, you can see
spoilers.
This has also been sort of updated here, the source properties. I think one of the issues we're running with source properties was like organizing different depending on which thing you were looking to get through. So I think this has been also sort of solidified, so it's organized the same way. So let me make this. What we'll do is we'll kill the one shot, and we'll just do a little automatic footstep system here. I'm just gonna drop it. Oh wait, I'm not doing anything. Hold on a second. Let me let's do something. Okay, so when this is occluded, okay, here's what we'll do. We'll do a trigger on value change, and then we'll do compare. I guess we'll do the compare. Sure. So we'll trigger this compare. Let's do something wacky. How about we'll use this distortion plugin or this distortion effect. Okay, so we'll do a little here. We'll do a mix. Someone needs to go through this and make cat versions of this. Okay, that's not my problem. Complain to Epic about that. Actually, I don't need to compare. Here's what I'll do is I'll just do this. We'll just to integer. I think I did. Yeah, we'll do multiply. Oh, we'll go to float.
Can't you just go straight from bool to?
Maybe.
I think you can.
Float?
I do it.
Oh yeah, cool, nice. Okay, yes. There must have been something else that I couldn't do that in. That sort of locked in my mind. Where was I? Right. Multiply. Float by 1. And then we'll do subtract. 1. Do a little inversion. And then we'll do one of these things. And we'll say, okay, true. If this is true, this is 1. This is 1. This is 0. Boop. And this is... Wait, why am I multiplying by 1?
Yeah, I'm trying to do the math in my head.
What I was doing here? Okay, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's do this. And then this, we'll just do this. And so we can test this. Wow. What is going on with this?
Galloping.
We'll do 1 second, very long, stretchy legs.
That's ominous.
It is a little ominous.
For us, really.
Wait for the distortion.
Wait, hold on. Well, I know. Hold on. I forgot to set any settings on the distortion. Okay, hold on a second. I don't know. 4? What is that? Is that 4? 4 is good. I want to like. What is this? Clean. We want crunchy. Captain.
Oh, you got to go Captain Crunch, surely.
Yeah, I think we need to let's slam it here. Come on. What do we? There we go. And then I think we can we bring the output back? So that just we sort of lose the fun of it. I guess we'll do half. There we go. Try that. Okay, and so then we get normal steps. Okay, that's sufficient. Okay, so then we can just drop this in. We'll just drop it on this right here, and I guess what I'll do. Whoops! Where am I? Oh my God, I'm moving fast. What we'll do is we'll make. Hold on, we don't want to put this in the wall. You see that? Oh, by the way, I'll see that. I'm sure you saw the new widgets, the new gizmo. Sorry. Let's go, Matt. Let's go red. Yeah, okay, that's good. Okay, so now we have visual confirmation of where this sound has been placed.
You need a wall. You need to include it.
I should be fine. I can just move the camera. This is maybe not the best.
This is a hard way to.
Here's what we'll do. No. I don't. Muting is stupid. I want to do something wacky here. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna mix mono, and then I'm gonna add. Sorry, where am I? I'm gonna do. Hold on a second. I actually don't want that. I want this here. I want this here, and that. Oh, hold on a second. Oh, this is this. There we go. This like this. We'll just there we go. This there's no way you can't tell now that we're occluded. Okay. We got footsteps. Yeah, we're occluded. Anyway, what I think is cool about this is, you know, doing something. You can do something creative with occlusion because you're sort of you could do whatever you want in the meta sound, right? And so I think that volume and filter is like the meat and potatoes, and that's fine. And it does a lot of heavy lifting, and it works, and all that sort of stuff. But I think the idea that you could just sort of go full ham, on something really interesting because the sound is occluded by some intermediary object is interesting. Anyway, and it's such an easy thing to add. It's just like, here's the interface, boop, and there you go. Robert is your mother's brother. So there are other interfaces that I added. Actually, let me see. Speaking of repeating sounds, here's what we'll do. Let me delete this. And we don't need this. And we don't need this. And we don't need this. And we're going to do this. And we're going to do one of these. AD envelope. Audio. We're going to multiply it. Multiply the audio together. And we're going to use this for this. There we go. Let's trigger. And then this will go out here, and we will make this. Let's do something like 2 seconds. So we got like these nice quarter. There we go. We're going to have a really sharp attack, and we're going to have a really steep decay with a nice concave curve. For
like it because as you're entering it, I'm just sitting there. Boop, boop, boop.
Yep. Let's make it. Yeah, that's fine. And so here's what I'm going to do is instead of this, let me get rid of this. because it's there. And we don't need this. What I'm going to add is the world time interface, which no one asked for. And I just was like, let's do this.
I love it because you said no one asked for it, but in our project I made an occlusion and a time interface, exactly the same thing. I needed. Yes. You do need them. Like, you're right. It's about creativity. So like time is really useful because you can work out, how long since the last time you triggered a running meta sound or something like that. Yeah. If you send trigger pins in and you want to do something like, hey, the first time it plays, do this, but then otherwise do a different shot the next time or whatever. And then occlusion's really cool because you can have creative effects.
How do we not have a float mod? I blame Aaron.
I don't know, man. That's you don't even you don't work there. You just got to complain like the rest of us.
So here's what we'll do. We'll go. We'll multiply time. We'll multiply time. Oh my
god.
By 4, and then we're gonna floor it. We're gonna put 4 on the floor, and then we'll do a modulus. There we go. And what am I doing here? And then we're gonna do. What am I doing here? What am I doing here? I guess we'll do a little count. I guess this is one. We're going to go on. Let's do something like that, I guess. I'm just going to do trigger on change, value change. So I think that is fine. I probably could just do this and just sort of be like, that's cool. And I could test it in here. There we go. So we're at 4 times a second, because I'm flooring the whole values, and this is giving value in units of seconds. And the only concern here would be like, I don't know, 32-bit float overflow or something like that. But what I wanted to sort of show is, okay, so now we've got this sound in the level, and I'm gonna grab the sound while it's playing. Where is this sound?
New meta sound.
There we go. Okay, and then I'm just gonna drop the pitch. And so what's happening here is the world time is still moving along at world frame rate, frame of reference. And the meta sound is actually rendering slower. So the meta sound's concept of time is actually slower and so the sine tone is rendering at slower rate.
I like it because I just watched Project Hail Mary, so all of this makes sense.
This all makes sense, right?
Relativity in that's what 5.8 has.
At least one science fiction movie with a black hole, you should be good to go on this.
Yeah.
But I just think this is really neat that there are 2 references for time that are independent of each other, and they're colliding into a single graph. I just think that's really neat.
I love it and I hate it at the same time, but only because I know I'm going to need to explain it, but otherwise it's very cool.
So there's like the current world time. This is like a world, by the way, if you're not savvy, is like the thing that owns all the actors. The instance. It's like the instance of the world. I guess it's
explain the world.
Explain the world.
Explain the world.
So components are owned by actors. Actors are owned by the world. The world is like your scene. But it's also more like it's more complex than that when you're in the editor, because the editor has its own world. So what we're looking at here, if I hit play, this is how many seconds since I opened up the editor. right? So, and then if we were inside the game world, it's however many seconds since the game world started. So, for example, if we use this sort of the same kind of idea here, let's go. We'll go back to our regular trigger repeat here. Boom. Oh, that's why I was triggering a trigger repeat instead of triggering the envelope. That's why I was getting a gallop. Anyway, so okay, all right, Dan, hold on here. So here we have our beat, and then we'll use the world time, and I'll modulo, and we'll do 7, and then we'll generate a scale of notes. See where I'm going with this?
Yep.
And then we'll get a value off of that array. And I'm being sneaky here because I know that there are 7 values on that array. And then we will go add. We'll do an offset of 48 MIDI values. And then we will MIDI to frequency convert. And now, yes, you can predict it.
Oh.
Well, yeah, because why didn't? Well, hold on a second. Why didn't it finish? Why didn't it finish?
That's what I would do just to annoy music. I feel like when I was teaching them the major scale, you do, but you just stop on like the very last something.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's current world time. There's the lapsed world time, which is how much time has elapsed since starting the meta sound. And then there's the world time when played. So it's like a snapshot of like whatever time it was in the world when you played the meta sound.
Does that get reset when the meta sound is virtualized, or does it continue on?
You ask a great question.
I can imagine having another pin there of when something gets virtualized could be interesting for something.
Yeah, I think that it depends on. I think it depends on your. You ask a really good question.
It's a really weird one. I'm not really sure what happens, like how hydrated the meta sound is when it's virtualized.
When it's virtualized, well, so the I would have honestly. Well, I mean, it has been a while since I was laid off. I don't remember exactly. I'd have to look at the code. Did someone say?
No, I was looking at the chat, but I missed the question.
Oh, the question is, during virtualization. So if you play when silent, then obviously the meta sound continues to render. So it's actually still alive. It's just outputting zeros. So that would maintain all that. All the state would track. If you do restart as your voice management, then obviously the meta sound is going to start from zero, because it's offline. It's not it doesn't exist.
But it would get the world time if you're using the interface.
It would get the world time, but the question David's proposing is, it does, like, if you do restart when it comes back. Is it the time when it restarted, or is it the original time when it was first played? And honestly, I'd have to look at the code, and I don't.
It's probably going to be the restart time.
Probably. It depends on the lifetime of the meta sound object or the active sound object. when it's virtualized, and because the way that I implemented it is there's like a couple of initialization. Like if you look at the active sound code, there's like some spots where it initializes the sound, and so then that's when I feed it into the interface. And
is it audio time or is it cam time? There's a question in the chat about whether it's paused or
it's that's why I specify world. It's game time. It's world time.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So that's good. So when you pause, it will be paused, and it won't. Oh wait, will it be paused?
Wait, if you pause the meta sound, the world continues on.
It's beautiful. It's just worth bringing up when you're playing with time in Unreal. Like you gave a really great explanation before about world time, and there's audio time as well. So when you're thinking about pausing or you're looking at blueprint nodes in Unreal and you're wondering what the different types of time are, it really depends on what you want to do. So there's worth looking into different types of time when you do things like pause menus, or if you have dialogue lines that are running while you were pausing the game, making sure they're restarting correctly. Usually it's based on you using the wrong or the right time based on the world time or the game time or the audio time for each of those facilities. So there is facility for different uses of different times, and starting with world time makes sense because an actor owns the metasound. The metasound is a type of actor of some description in the world. So using world time makes the most sense because it lives inside the world to do the thing. It might not make as much sense if you have like an instance subsystem, because that's not. Like a game instance subsystem won't be based on the world, therefore this you wouldn't use this interface for it.
Yeah, I mean that's actually a really interesting test. Thank you for finding all these edge cases that I didn't consider.
Sorry, I have a habit of finding a way.
No, it's great. It's great.
Sorry.
It's not my problem anymore. So this is.
You got paid for it, man. If they wanted you to look at these things, they should have hired. Right. Well, I got So that's
my rate has doubled, Epic. It's at least twice as much. But something. So I think, in part, what I think is useful is taking a look at these. Like, I think if you're interested in digging into this stuff yourself, go look at the code and check it out. Like, and what's nice is elapsed world time, or maybe that's not distinct enough. World time when played, it's probably the only time that's like written in the code. So you could probably just do a search and you can find the exact spot where I put that in there. So, but it's just in the active sound thing.
I'm literally cloning the engine now because we started after we started talking about it, because I want to check out channel agnostic types and
yes.
This polymorphic node, because I think they are huge, except that there will be a little hurdle to jump over initially. But I could see them being a pretty big backbone of how to author metasounds in projects, which is really, really cool.
Yeah. Especially if you've got something, if you're like hand rolling something that's very project specific and you want to make like sort of first class the utility. I think that's really very useful. But something I wanted to point out, because you mentioned subsystems, I haven't personally dug into this, and this is something I actually want to get into, sort of to cover my bases, like in my own constant learning more about Unreal. But is audio engine subsystems, and audio engine subsystems give you sort of modular access to the active sound, and if you wanted to, because this is neat, like the world time, cool, but oftentimes you actually have like a game experience time, like what is happening in the game's narrative.
Like a time of day, right?
Like a time of day, or
the engine exactly. Has a time of day, like day sequence plugin or something like that.
Yeah, or your project has its own sense of time, and so you could you could create data interfaces, and this is something that Fortnite has done a lot of, by the way. This is something they do very regularly in Fortnite, is create data interfaces that just give designers access to this global set of parameters in like a really convenient way. And so, unfortunately, there isn't like a good example of, setting up a MetaSound interface data input on a audio engine subsystem. But if you look at the audio gameplay and audio gameplay volume plugins, they are like great examples of how to use audio engine subsystems. And Ryan Mangan, who wrote that plugin, those two plugins, also created audio engine subsystem. So it's a really good set of modules to check out if you wanted to add like your own project, because like in order to do the way that the code path that I took was going into like plumbing into the engine code, and if you're on a project, you don't usually want to do that if you can help it, and oftentimes the engine is designed so that you can extend it without having to dig into the engine code. But yeah, so if you wanted to try to do something specific for your project, like you could have an enum or something like that, that is like your player state or something, I don't know, whatever, something specific to your game project, then you could implement it there.
Yeah, we use audio engine subsystems for a lot of systems because you can also get them on their own thread and get them off the game thread and do more parsing there as well. So they're definitely very, very powerful. You won't find a lot of examples of them, though there are more examples nowadays in the engine. I think there's at least a couple of audio engine subsystems that are worth checking out. They're very, very cool.
And then the last bits that I added were location data. So before there was listener orientation and source orientation, which has to do with the sort of relative angles of these elements. But something that was requested. This is actually the actual ask. The actual ask that got me here was that they wanted to be able to tell if something was above the player location, not just above their view frustum. And so, or below, right? And Fortnite does a trick with their footsteps where they change the design if the player is occluded and above or occluded and below, to sort of give like distinction between, this is clearly footsteps from above, and I can tell just from the sound design itself, or it's from below, and that sort of gives additional height information to tactical shooter, that is sort of above and beyond just like spatialization or HRTF or something like that, and so yeah, other projects wanted this sort of data. So yeah, so now I added listener location, and we had held off on vectors for a real long time, which I thought was like very frustrating because there aren't like structs out of the box, and all the data types in MetaSounds are kind of hand rolled, and so. So vectors was something that sort of kicked the can down the road, and I was like, "Fuck it." So I just give the X, Y, and Z and floats. Here you go. So you can get the listener location, and you can get the source location, and this is the world location. These are the world coordinates of the listener and the world coordinates of the source. And so, and the reason I did this was they originally wanted like the altitudinal difference, I guess you could call it, or elevation difference. And I was like, why don't I just give you these things and you can just do the math, which is just subtraction, to keep it simple. And there you go. And so I was planning on adding a bunch of vector operations that just took in the XYZ floats, but not my problem anymore. Twice as much if you want me to do it.
Well, one thing that's really cool that you can use. So let's say you have a random bank of sounds that you want to play at a location. You can use the location interface that you've got here as like a seed for random.
Yes.
You can play.
I was gonna make a seed generator based off of XYZ. Dude, no. Listen to this. No. Here's the thing. So, stories. This is very common when you start a new project. There is like this desire to like your eyes are bigger than your stomach, and the stomach is production and how much time you have, and your eyes are like your passion for the work. On Lego Fortnite, I want like both me and Ethan Halverson, who's the audio director on Lego Fortnite, we both wanted to make really cool procedural music system. And we had these crazy ideas we were kicking around about like bricks, like people building structures and having the music somehow be influenced by the structure and all this sort of stuff. And one of the ideas that I floated was, because I'm obsessed with spatial hashes, Dan mentioned spatial hash, everyone take a drink, is that I wanted to spatial hash and use that as a seed for a melody generator, and then have melodies be spatially locked. So you can procedural melodies, and then when you revisit a location, you hear that melody again. Anyway, yes.
Yeah.
So
I do that. So yeah.
Yes.
So you can use those locations as a random seed, so that the random washing machine that gets picked always plays the same random washing machine sound at that world location, which is really useful.
Yeah, I mean washing machine's okay, but
well, look. Yeah. I agree with you. I think the layers of music would be cooler than a washing machine, but you haven't seen how cool our washing machines are. So
I mean, I have heard some pretty awesome washing machines. I will admit that.
It goes boo. No.
You know, I have heard.
Mine could sound different. They do sound different in Australia. So maybe this is one of those.
That's right.
There's a random seed. Maybe
it's got a little GPS.
We should go to Westinghouse and we should get them to put the random location as a GPS.
That's right.
For our smart fridges, so that they can play a different tune based on where they are in the world.
Yep.
That'd be something. There's something there.
Is definitely not for like customer tracking, right?
No.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that.
No. It's just the procedural tune generation.
That's right.
That's why we need this information. It's not. No. That's a cool idea. We hadn't really thought about that though. Yeah, maybe. Oh, wow. That's wacky. That's ridiculous.
Did I anything else here? I don't think so. I think that's it. Yeah.
We're over time.
We're over time.
We're out of time anyway.
What did I miss, Eric?
Subsonic.
Oh my God! Yes.
Next time.
Next week.
Yeah. Here's what I'll do: is I will just add the asset, and is it experimental? There we go. What is that? I don't know.
Tune in next week.
Tune in. Oh, is it next week? Are we doing it next week?
Fire.
Oh, I don't know. What's the calendar?
Next week is AirCon. Wait, let me do this right. Let's go back here.
Oh no!
I pressed the wrong button.
See ya.
I was like, stream's over. What?
AirCon is next week, right? AirCon, AirWiggles. That's a free conference for audio.
Into that more, because I know it's really awesome. They get a lot of really good.
It's bad for Australia time.
Man, everything's bad for Australia.
It's like
New Zealand GDC, and that's about good for Australia time. Otherwise, it was in the middle of it.
I'm in Pacific time. It starts at like 5 a.m. for me. So it's like very, I don't know, England or something. That's my guess. Very Atlantic focused.
Probably middle of the night or something for me. I don't know. I'm awake. I'm chained to this desk. I don't, I'll be there.
Yeah. It looks like they're done in the afternoon for us, so like we wouldn't be.
Oh yeah, I guess
for
that's
time
true,
or anything.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. All right, cool. Yeah, so maybe we'll look at Subsonic. Maybe you'll look at Subsonic. You being you people at home.
Maybe a closer look at templates.
Polymorphic node. So if I get somewhere with it, I'll bring that next week.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you everyone for hanging out with us, and we will very likely see you next week, unless it's very late because you got up real early for AirCon and you're tired. All right.